And you know, if I could argue for it for a moment, just to provoke you, at least into understanding that we ought to have been discussing this. Not that you have to agree with me, but that we should be discussing it. And that to not discuss it is to have a taboo that we really ought to question. If all the workers in an enterprise participate in the decision, there's a name for that. It's called democracy. It's a democratic way of organizing production. If you believe in democracy, I would want you to ask yourself a question. Does your belief in democracy mean it only happens outside the workplace, but not inside? And where did you get that idea from? Did Thomas Jefferson write, only here, but not there? Not that I know of. It is our culture that celebrates democracy outside the workplace and somehow has decided it doesn't belong inside the workplace. And for those of you that are saying, well, how could all the workers get together to make the decision? That would be chaotic. To you, I would like to tell two little concluding historical parables. Once a time it was thought that the only way to organize any society was to have one man at the very top who was called the king or the emperor or the czar, and he had to make all the decisions and tell everybody what to do, and the very idea that we wouldn't have it that way would mean our society would crumble, our civilization would disappear, and we'd all become animals in the jungle.
But in a true free market, you can't make yourself rich without making your neighbors rich and without enriching your community. But what polluters do is they make themselves rich by making everybody else poor. They raise standards of living for themselves by lowering quality of life for everybody else. And they do that by escaping the discipline of the free market. You show me a polluter, I'll show you a subsidy. I'll show you a fat cat using political clout to escape the discipline of the free market and force the public to pay his production costs. And coal claims to be cheap, but actually it's probably the most catastrophically expensive way to boil a pot of water that has ever been devised. People say to me, what's the most important environmental law that we could pass? And I would say, I've always said the same thing. It's free market capitalism, because in a true free market promotes efficiency. And efficiency means the elimination of waste, and pollution is waste. And a true free market would encourage us to properly value our natural resources, and it is the undervaluation of those resources that causes us to use them wastefully.
Based on preposterous notions and on ideas whose time should never have come, simplicity grossly distorted and complicated, insanity passed off as logic, grandiose schemes built on falsehoods with the morality of Ponzi and Madoff, evil described as virtue, ignorance pawned off as wisdom, destruction and impoverishment in the name of humanitarianism, violence the tool of change, preventive wars used as a road to peace, tolerance delivered by government guns, reactionary views in the guise of progress, an empire replacing the republic, slavery sold as liberty, excellence and virtue traded for mediocrity, socialism to save capitalism, a government out of control, unrestrained by the Constitution, the rule of law, or morality. Bickering over petty politics as we head into chaos. The philosophy that destroys us is not even defined. We have broken from reality, a psychotic nation. Ignorance with a pretense of knowledge replacing wisdom. Money does not grow on trees, nor does prosperity come from a government printing press or escalating deficits. We're now in the midst of unlimited spending of the people's money, exorbitant taxation, deficits of trillions of dollars spent on a failed welfare warfare system, an epidemic of cronyism, unlimited supplies of paper money equated with wealth, a central bank that deliberately destroys the value of the currency in secrecy, without restraint, without nary a whimper. Yet, cheered on by the pseudo-capitalists of Wall Street, the military-industrial complex, and Detroit, we police our world empire with troops on 700 bases and in 130 countries around the world. A dangerous war now spreads throughout the Middle East and Central Asia. Thousands of innocent people being killed as we become known as the torturers of the 21st century. We assume that by keeping the already known torture pictures from the public's eye, we will be remembered only as a generous and good people. If our enemies want to attack us only because we are free and rich, proof of torture would be irrelevant. The sad part of all this is that we have forgotten what made America great, good, and prosperous. We need to quickly refresh our memories and once again reinvigorate our love, understanding, and confidence in liberty.